I hope you are all having a wonderful day. The reason for this video today is because right now out there on Reddit, News Nation, and basically all over the place, there are so many reports about the Idaho Four Murders and where the victims were, who was the first, who was the last, just all sorts of crazy stuff. I even took a dive into it last night, posted a video about it, and as I was posting and I started looking at some of the schematics of the house and how the house is set up, I thought to myself, I think everyone is wrong, and maybe I'm wrong, but I was going to walk you through what I think happened, and I really think it lines up perfectly with all the evidence that we have been given so far. So this will only take a few minutes, but I wanted to at least give you my opinion on what I think actually happened. But this won't be a rehash of the entire story about how Kohberger left his house and what he did and all that. It'll be a quick theory on how and why and where everyone was and how it all played out, and I think you'll find it very interesting. So to begin with, we're going to start with Brian Kohberger. Remember, he left his house and turned off his cell phone. He had been to that house 12 other times, never turning off his cell phone. So when he left that house, he was going there to do something. Maybe he was just going to profess his love to one of the girls, but most likely if you have a knife with you, you're going there to kill somebody. You had a plan, and that is what you were going to do. So let's start there. He left his house with the plan to murder somebody. Now, who was he murdering? Who was his target? I say it was Kaylee. Kaylee was not supposed to be there. She was finished up. She had packed up most of the stuff out of her room. She was basically there just to visit and show off her new car, her Range Rover that she bought. Now, why would he know she was there? Those pictures. She posted those pictures all over her Instagram account, basically saying, hey, look, I'm back in town for this night. Painted a large target on her and her friends. And for the record, this is a normal thing. You should be able to post pictures on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, whatever you want to do, and not have to have the fear that somebody is stalking you and going to come kill you at your house. So the handful of people on the internet that have been saying that this was her fault for posting those pictures, I don't agree. She's a victim of this crime and was doing nothing more than millions of other people, if not billions of other people, do every day. However, with that said, Brian Kohberger probably saw this on Instagram and knew he needed to react quickly, that this was his one chance. Now, this does not bring into play why he was stalking her, what their chance meeting was. Did he see her at the Mad Greek when she was visiting Xana or Maddie? Was it a chance meeting at a football game? Was it a chance meeting anywhere? Or did he just stumble across her on Instagram and become infatuated? Who knows? We have no idea there. But Brian Kohberger leaves his house, turns off his phone, drives to Moscow. Now, while in Moscow, they see him drive past that house 3 different times. Now, why did he drive by the house 3 different times instead of stopping the first time, second time, or third time? I'll tell you why. Because he was waiting for the lights to go out. It was 4 o'clock in the morning by the time he decided to go in, which was pretty late. I can only figure he was waiting for some of the lights to go out. On his 4th time around, he probably parked his car somewhere up on that upper hill or that back parking lot behind the house, because from that vantage point, you could see directly into Maddie's room. So maybe he sits back there for a little while, spying on the house. He sees Xana with her food in the kitchen, and she takes it, makes a plate, goes into her room, so he figures this is his chance. He goes down the hill and tries the sliding glass door, and it is open. So he walks in, knowing that all he has to do is take a quick turn, and he is right up the steps, and he is in the girls' rooms. He would also know that if he's been watching them, that those 2 rooms are completely secluded from the rest of the house. So he could go right up those stairs and do as he pleases. Now, the initial report in the affidavit is that Dylan heard somebody playing with the dog upstairs and then heard one of the girls say, "There's somebody here." Well, this would play out perfect because if Brian Kohberger was looking for Kaylee, he would have went up those steps, went to Kaylee's room first. Kaylee's room would have been empty except for the dog, and that dog, seeing someone come in the room, would have started jumping around and playing and tapping its feet on the floor, which was right above Dylan's room, so she would have thought, hey, somebody's playing with the dog upstairs, that's odd. So then, when he realized that, oh, I'm in the wrong room, no one's here, she must be over in Maddie's room, he cuts across the hallway, tries to sneak in, the lights are off, and the only light coming through is from the balcony area. He stands there for a moment, looking over his victims, trying to figure out who's who. And in that instance, he hears somebody say, "There's somebody here." And at that point, he panics and realizes he has to just do what he's going to do. He kills whoever was closest, and as he does that, the second person is jumping out of bed, maybe trying to make their way to the door, trying to get away, and that is where the sheath comes off. Maybe she knocks it off, whoever the second victim was there, trying to escape the room. But there is also the possibility maybe he panicked, grabbed the knife really fast, and he actually did it himself. Maybe he didn't have the knife out yet, and when he went to grab it, he pulled it off so frantically that the sheath went flying off. So he has killed those 2 girls, and now he needs to make his exit. It would be a quick exit. All he would do is come down the steps, hang a left, and go out the back door. Same way he came in, quick and easy. However, if Xana was returning to the kitchen to throw away her food, and he happened to be coming down the stairs at the same time, perhaps that's when she saw him. He put the knife right up to her throat, which would make her start crying, which was also reported by Dylan, and that would have been right outside her door. So maybe he grabs her as she's crying, puts his hand over her mouth, leads her back to her room, not knowing Ethan's even going to be there, and trying to calm her down, he says, "It's okay, I'm going to help you." This is probably when he kills her right there in the doorway, and as he does it and drops her back into the room so it's not so noticeable, that's when he notices Ethan probably passed out or sleeping, or maybe a little of both, in the bed. So without even knowing it, Ethan is killed right there in the bed, which makes Ethan the last victim to be killed in the house. So now he has killed 2 girls upstairs, one of which he probably didn't even want to kill. Then he comes downstairs and is forced to kill 2 more people that he didn't want to kill. So at this point, as he's leaving and walking out around the corner and right past Dylan's room, all he can think of is, I just want to get out of here. I don't want to be in here anymore. This has gone totally wrong. I need to get out of this house. And he exits out the back door, goes back up the hill, gets in his car and drives away. It's truly that simple. If he thought this thing through, he wanted to get in, commit whatever crime he was planning on doing, and get out as fast as possible. Originally, when I was looking at these house blueprints and that, and knowing that there were steps right there at the front door, I was thinking to myself that, and I think a lot of people are thinking this way, if you go in the front door and those steps are right there, normally as you go around the turn, the rest of the steps would be above that. But because this was kind of like a story and a half that had another section put on later, it makes sense now that the steps were on the side where the kitchen was. I don't think a lot of people realize that. So yeah, that is basically the synopsis of how this happened. He shows up there looking for Kaylee. He comes in the back door, the sliding door, and goes right upstairs to their room. Kaylee isn't in her room, so the dog is jumping around. Remember, at this point, Dylan was completely asleep in her room, and she was woken up by the dog jumping around upstairs. And then she hears, there's somebody here. So from a deep sleep to the dog, chattering around with its feet, clicking around on the floor upstairs, then hearing one of the girls saying, there's someone here, this would all be a little disorienting for her if she was sleeping. So she probably heard it, didn't think anything of it, and probably tried to go back to sleep. Then, moments later, as Brian's making his escape, he somehow threatens Xana or grabs her, and she starts crying. She's still laying in bed and hears this, so she pokes her head out, doesn't hear or see anything. He murders Xana and Ethan, and she hears like a little bit of something, so she pokes her head back out. She's looking, and here comes some creepy guy walking by, but he just doesn't say anything to her and exits. So if he had been threatening, she probably would have thought, what the heck was that? But he just walked by her and just left out the back door like he hadn't just committed a quadruple homicide. So she goes back to bed, and that's it. Sleeps till noon like most college kids do. She makes a couple phone calls to close friends, explaining what they woke up to, dials 911, and the rest is history. There is one thing that does bother me in this whole scenario, is that if Dylan could hear the dog jumping around and could hear Xana crying and hear all these other things, how could she not hear the 2 people in the room directly above her getting brutally stabbed to death when we know at least one of them was awake and would have made some noise during the attack? And remember, everyone in this video is innocent until proven guilty. This also includes Dylan Mortensen, who has done nothing wrong in the eyes of the law, and the only reason I used Brian Kohberger as the killer was for context, because he is the prime suspect in this case. So tell me what you think. I think this is a pretty straightforward analysis of how this crime was probably committed. I could be completely wrong. There's always outliers. There's other things like that. But from the evidence that was given to us in the affidavit, I think this is the most realistic time frame and way that Brian Kohberger would have went about this. I am very curious on what you guys think. Leave comments. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a like, and please subscribe to our page. And as always, stay safe out there, everyone, and we'll see you in the next video.